Hi guys, Frank here with Build Your Own, and this is my 1994 Chevy Cheyenne C1500, and the horn has never worked since the day I got the truck. The problem is a missing horn wire and broken turn signal cancel ring, which is also known as a turn signal cancel cam. I also think my horn pad is broken. And instead of getting a new one, I'm going to install this Grant Classic Series steering wheel I picked up at Baxter Auto. So in this video, I will show you how to remove a steering wheel and repair a horn on a 1994 Chevy C1500 by replacing the horn wire and turn signal cancel ring. And instead of reinstalling the factory steering wheel, I will install a Grant Classic Series steering wheel. Oh, real quick before we get started, make sure you check out my related video on the steering system. I replaced the intermediate shaft on the truck not that long ago, and so that video might be of importance to you, and so I'll put that link down in the description below. Okay, so the first thing that we actually need to do to start this job is remove the horn pad, and that's pretty easy. All it does is pull off. Now normally, if your truck's horn works, or even if it doesn't, you're going to have a horn wire that's going to be attached to this prong right here. Mine's missing, so I can pull this off freely. Just make sure you just don't yank it off, so you don't yank off that horn wire off of this tab right here. So step one, remove the horn wire. And like I said, I think mine's broken. You know, when you press this, there's some contacts I think that are supposed to touch back here, and I don't think that's happening, and I just really don't want to get a new factory horn pad. So we've got that off. Next thing we need to do is get this nut off the steering wheel and then hook up a steering wheel puller. So let's get this nut off. I'm using a 13/16 socket to go ahead and get that bolt off the steering wheel. Okay, now that we have that bolt off, we can hook up our steering wheel puller. And we're gonna hook that up using these two eyelets that are right here and right here. You'll see how that looks in just a second. Okay, so I have the steering wheel puller all set up. Everything's all snug here. All we need to do is I need to put a 13mm socket on this, turn it clockwise, and as I do, it'll pull the steering wheel off of the spline. Okay, so with the steering wheel off, now we can see what the real issue is. So yes, I was always missing this horn wire, but the bigger issue was this turn signal cancel cam. It's broken. You see how the tab is broken right here? Let me show you what the replacement one looks like. Okay, so we can take a look at this new turn signal cancel ring, and we can see that it's got a notch right in there. You can see that notch right there, and so the horn wire clicks into that. Let me show you what that looks like. So the first thing I should say is that the horn wire has that little tab right on it, and so that tab slides and slots into the groove on that turn signal cancel ring. Okay, so here's what it looks like when the horn wire is properly connected in the turn signal cancel ring. And so on this one here that's in the truck, it's broken, and so even if I did have a wire, it wouldn't work because the wire was never able to lock in to this position right down here. Okay, so all we need to do to get at this turn signal cancel cam is to remove this lock plate. And so to remove this lock plate, we need to compress it down because there's a little ring right down there that's holding that lock plate in place. And so once we press this down, we can get that ring out of the groove, and then we can remove this lock plate and replace this turn signal cancel cam. Okay, so now I have the lock plate compressor all hooked up. All I need to do is turn this knob clockwise. That'll compress this plate down, and then I'll be able to get that snap ring out of that groove there. Okay, as you can see now, we got the lock plate compressed down, and there's that little that ring right there that we need to get out of the groove. That's what holds this lock plate down. So I've got several of these little pick tools like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this off out of this groove, and then once I do, I'll remove all this tool, and then we can lift up this lock plate and get at the turn signal cancel cam. Okay, as you can see, I got that off of there now, and so we can go ahead and take this lock plate off of the steering column here, and now we could actually access the old turn signal cancel cam, and we can see how it's very broken right there. So now we just go ahead and put the new one in. I guess this is the point you're at if you need to service other things in your steering column, but we don't have to worry about that today. So we'll take this new turn signal cancel ring, we'll put it on the steering shaft right about so, and then we can go ahead and put this the lock plate back on the truck, compress it down, and put that ring back in the groove. You see that? Let's take that off for a second. You see that groove right there? That's where that ring has to snap down into that groove, and that's how it holds the plate down. So when you go to put the lock plate on, make sure you have it on the right side, and when you put it in, you'll notice that there's these little, there's little splines on there that correspond with the grooves on that shaft. And so when you go ahead and put this back on here, you'll definitely feel a positive click when you've done it right, and it won't turn, just like we can see here. So before I put this snap ring over the steering column or steering shaft, you can see I'm kind of bending it back to shape so it fits in nice and tight, and then I'll stretch it right over the top of that. I just wanted to give you a quick shot of that real fast. And that's how you can get the form back if you've overstretched it trying to get it off. Okay, so as you can see, I have the lock plate compressed back down. I've got it compressed all the way back down so I can see the groove now. So now I'll be able to take this lock ring and push it back down into that groove. But another part I want to show you is you want to make sure that when you're pushing this down and compressing it down, you get it in between one of these tabs. This is how your steering wheel locks. So you want to make sure that it's not right on top of one, but right in the groove of one, and your steering wheel will stay locked. Okay, so I have the snap ring back in, everything's all locked up and everything's all good. The turn signal cancel cam is replaced, and at this point, if you were putting your factory steering wheel back on, all you need to do is put that steering wheel back on. Then you could go ahead and snap this horn wire. You know how it locks into there? I already showed you how that works. You could snap that horn wire in, and then you connect the other end of this horn wire to your horn pad, and you'd be good to go. But since we're going to install that Grant steering wheel, the next step of this is to do the install kit, the adapter plate and all that, so we can go ahead and put this steering wheel on the truck. Okay, so here are all the pieces to the Grant install kit. It comes with its own horn wire and spring, and so we don't have to use this factory replacement horn wire. I just want to show you that there is a difference and that the kit does come with one. So let's get this installed, starting with step one. Okay, so the first step is to install Grant's horn wire, and their setup is a little bit different. You can see that this factory one, there's the sleeve, there's the spring, and there's the contact at the end. The way Grant does it, it's a little bit different. You're going to take this spring and you're going to go ahead and drop this spring down the shaft here. So we're going to go ahead and put the spring in there like so. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and take this this lock ring over here, and then we're going to slide that over the top of this wire. So now we've got it set up like so, and you can see that locking tab here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put this in here like so, and then we can go ahead and lock that in just like that. So there is step one. We've got the horn wire, and check it out. Here's a sound I don't think I've ever heard on the truck. The horn actually does in fact work. Now let's move on to the next step. Okay, so the next step is to put this hub adapter on, but you got to put it on a specific way. You can actually see that there's an arrow up there that says top, and so obviously you want that to be at the top, because that way the turn signal cancel ring can actually fit through that hole right there. And then what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to pull this wire over and across. There's a little groove right here, and you go ahead and pull that wire over and across. When you get it all set up and get it all right, it should look just like this. And from this point, now we can put on the steering wheel. So based on where the holes are on the steering wheel and where everything mounts up, I've actually changed and readjusted where I have that wire coming out. You can see that I've made a little change here. Okay, so I've got the horn contact ring semi-installed. It's hard to do it all one hand. I left one bolt out because, as you can see here, you can't just slide this ring over that. You got to feed these bolts through that hole. They kind of lock themselves in there. So you got to kind of hold all this stuff together and feed it all in. I use this middle nut here to kind of keep everything together while I got it all started. So you can see there's a notch out here on this ring, so you have clearance for the horn wire as well. So let me get all these bolts in and get them all snugged down, and then we'll move on. Okay, so we got all those snugged down, and they're supposed to have play in them. That's all normal. And once we hook this up, since the battery's live, we have the horn. So really the only things left to do is to tighten this down to 30 foot-pounds, the center nut here, and we'll go ahead and hook this wire up, and then we just need to hook up this wire or this horn button and we'll be good to go. Okay, so I ended up disconnecting the battery for this last part, otherwise the horn would keep going off every time this contact touched the steering wheel. So you can see everything's connected. I've got the spring set up, and that's going to give us our spring action on our button. And we can see that there's these little notches. There's 1, 2, and there's 3 notches that correspond with these little notches on the cap. So yeah, you know how it goes. We fit these notches over and then twist it, and that'll lock it in place. So let's see how that looks. Okay, so I got the steering wheel all wiped down. I got the battery hooked back up. I've got the horn button properly installed, and yeah, it works and it looks pretty good. There's the factory steering wheel. I won't be throwing it away. I've hardly thrown away any of the things I've taken off this truck, actually. All right, guys, so we fixed the broken horn on my truck, and we installed a Grant Classic steering wheel. By the way, if you're wondering the size, the diameter of that wheel, that's 14 3/4 inch with a 4-inch dish. So I like the wheel. It feels good, nice and tight. The factory wheel was all loose around there, so I'm really happy with the wheel. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video helpful, informative, or entertaining. And if you did, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos with this truck. We got a lot more work to do.